Sometimes the best thing you can do in life is to say nothing, to stay silent while everyone around you is talking, to move in silence while everyone else is busy showing off. Because in this world of oversharing, where everyone wants to announce every little thing they're doing, true power lies in mystery. People will ask you, where have you been? What are you planning? What are you doing these days? And you just smile and say, let them wonder. Because not everyone deserves a front row seat to your process. Some only deserve to see the results. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop seeking validation, you gain something priceless: peace. Let them wonder what you're up to. Let your silence speak. Let your results echo. You see, silence is often misunderstood. People think silence means weakness or fear or confusion. But the truth is, silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. When you stop announcing your every move, when you stop updating the world about your next step, something magical happens inside you. You begin to protect your energy, you begin to protect your focus. Because not every plan needs an audience, and not every audience deserves to know your plan. Have you ever noticed how, in this world today, everyone wants to talk, everyone wants to show? We live in an age where privacy feels like a crime, and quietness feels suspicious. You post something, people ask questions. You stay silent, people still ask questions. You can't win by explaining yourself to everyone, but you can win by learning to stay still in your silence. Silence doesn't mean you're doing nothing. It means you're doing something important, something sacred, something that doesn't need to be seen right now. The most powerful changes in life happen quietly. When a tree grows, you don't hear its roots expanding beneath the soil. When a flower blooms, it doesn't make a sound. The most beautiful transformations happen in silence. And that's the lesson we forget. We get so used to noise, so used to proving, explaining, defending, that we forget that silence itself is a language of strength, a language of confidence. When you can walk away from noise, you show that you no longer need approval. When you can stay silent while others try to provoke you, you show emotional maturity. When you can stay calm while the world is chaotic, you show that you have grown. There's a power in saying nothing. There's a strength in not reacting. Because silence doesn't mean you have nothing to say. It means you are choosing when and how to say it. People who don't understand, you will always misinterpret your silence. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're ignoring them. But that's okay, because your silence is not for them. It's for you. It's your way of protecting your peace, your growth, your mental space. Remember this: noise may get attention, but silence earns respect. The one who talks less often observes more. The one who moves quietly often moves farther. So stop explaining your dreams. Stop seeking applause for every effort. Let your silence carry your strength. Let your calmness confuse the noisy world. Because real wisdom doesn't shout, it whispers. And when your time comes, your success will speak for itself, louder than any words ever could. Mystery, my friends, is one of the most powerful forces in human nature. The more people don't know, the more they want to know. The less you say, the more they listen when you finally speak. And yet, so many of us rush to tell the world everything: our goals, our plans, our progress, as if keeping it to ourselves makes it less real. But think about it. When was the last time you saw a lion announce its hunt? It moves silently, gracefully, purposefully. And then, when the time is right, it strikes. That's the beauty of mystery. It's not about hiding, it's about timing. The truth is, the more quietly you move, the more curiously the world watches. When people can't predict your next move, they pay attention. They start wondering, what's going on with you? Why are you so quiet? What are you working on? And you just smile because deep down you know. Their curiosity means you're doing something right. You've shifted from being seen as ordinary to being as intriguing. You see, noise is cheap. Anybody can make noise. People can talk endlessly about what they're doing, how busy they are, how hard they're working. But mystery, that's rare. It creates depth. It makes people lean in. It makes them want to understand you, but they can't because you've learned the art of moving in silence. And that, my friend, is a sign of maturity. When you live with mystery, you are no longer controlled by the need for approval. You no longer crave validation for every step you take. You start valuing your privacy more than people's opinions. You start realizing that the ones who truly matter will see your heart without needing to hear your plans, and the ones who don't matter, they'll keep guessing. Mystery gives your actions weight. It gives your presence power. Because when people don't know what's coming next, they prepare themselves for something great. It's human psychology. Curiosity pulls attention. And attention, when used right, can create influence without ever saying a word. That's how leaders, thinkers, and wise souls operate, not by telling everyone what they're doing, but by letting their impact speak for itself. So, instead of trying to impress people with your process, impress them with your results. Let them see your transformation, not your transition. Let them witness your success, not your struggle. Let them experience your glow up, not your grind. Because when your results finally appear, when your silence turns into visible change, that mystery becomes admiration. People start saying, wow, I didn't even know they were working on that. And that's the power of mystery. It doesn't need an announcement. It just needs time. Don't misunderstand. Being mysterious doesn't mean being secretive in a fearful way. It's not about hiding from the world. It's about protecting your sacred energy, your direction, and your peace. You're not avoiding attention. You're mastering it. You're learning when to share and when to stay silent. You're learning that you don't owe explanations for your evolution. And the funny thing, when you carry yourself with that quiet confidence, people respect you more. They may not understand you, but they'll feel something powerful about your presence. Because mystery attracts attention, but it also commands respect. People are drawn to what they can't define. So don't rush to tell your story while you're still writing it. Don't explain your every move while you're still moving. Let them wonder. Let them think. Let them try to figure you out. Because the truth is, the moment you stop being predictable, you start being powerful. And that's when your silence becomes your loudest message. There's something sacred about a dream that's still growing inside you. Something tender, something fragile. A dream is like a seed, and if you plant it in the wrong soil, or expose it too early to the cold air of doubt and judgment, it can die before it ever has the chance to bloom. That's why it's so important to protect your dreams from premature exposure. Because not everyone who smiles at you wants to see you succeed. Not everyone who listens to your plans will cheer for you when you start moving forward. The moment you start sharing your dream too soon, you invite voices, opinions, questions, judgments, and sometimes those voices are not kind. Someone might say, "That's impossible." Another might laugh and say, Who do you think you are? And slowly, those little words plant fear inside your heart. You start second guessing yourself, not because you weren't capable, but because you allowed someone else's disbelief to poison your belief. Think about it. Even the most beautiful flowers begin their life underground. Nobody sees them. Nobody applauds their roots as they push through the dirt. The process is silent, private, invisible. But that's where the real growth happens. Your dreams are no different. They need darkness before they can handle the light. They need solitude before they can handle the crowd. When you keep your dream close to your chest, you give it protection. You give it time to mature, to strengthen, to take shape. You water it with effort, nourish it with patience, and let it grow quietly, without interference, without noise. Because the truth is, once you expose your dream to the world, you also expose it to resistance. Some people will try to discourage you out of jealousy. Others will question you out of fear. And some will simply not understand what you see, because it wasn't their vision, it was yours. You must understand, not every listener deserves your story. Not every audience deserves access to your beginning. People only see the surface of your work. They don't see the sleepless nights, the failures, the doubts, the restarts. And that's okay. They don't need to. You don't owe them that explanation. Because your dream is not for approval, it's for purpose. Sometimes silence is the best protection for your dream. You don't need to defend it, justify it, or advertise it. Just build it. Let your work be your voice. Let your consistency be your announcement. Because when your dream becomes reality, those same people who once doubted you will be the ones saying, "I always knew you could do it." But in that moment, you'll know the truth. It wasn't their faith that got you here. It was your silence, your focus, and your persistence. You see, dreams are like candles in the wind. If you expose them too early, even the smallest gust of negativity can blow them out. But if you shield them with care, keep them away from those who don't understand, that small flame can grow into a fire that lights up your entire life. So, protect your dream like a mother protects her newborn child. Keep it close, keep it safe, and keep working. Let the results reveal themselves in time. Because when your dream finally comes alive, you won't have to explain how you did it. The world will see it for themselves. And that moment, my friend, will be worth every silent sacrifice you made along the way. Validation, it's such a sweet feeling, isn't it? That moment when someone appreciates you, praises you, or tells you you're doing great, it feels good. It feeds something inside us. That deep human need to be seen, to be recognized, to be valued. But the problem begins when we start depending on that feeling. When our sense of worth starts depending on someone else's words. When we need applause just to feel alive. That's when validation becomes addictive and dangerous. You see, it starts subtly. You share your achievements, your goals, your progress, and people clap for you. It feels encouraging, and so you share again. But after a while, you start noticing something. If people don't respond the same way, if the applause isn't as loud, you start doubting yourself. You begin to wonder, am I still doing enough? Am I still worth it? Without realizing it, you've placed your happiness in the hands of others. That's the trap of validation. It gives you a high for a moment, but when it fades, it leaves you emptier than before, because you've built your confidence on noise instead of silence. You've built your worth on reactions instead of reality, and that's a dangerous place to live, because people's opinions are unstable. They shift, they change, they forget. What they love today, they criticize tomorrow. If you let their opinions define you, you'll keep changing just to please them. And in the process, you'll lose yourself. True confidence doesn't come from being noticed. It comes from being a content, even when no one's watching, when you can do your best work quietly, when you can stay disciplined without needing a pat on the back. That's when you're truly free. You no longer crave attention, you create meaning. You no longer chase approval, you chase purpose. There's a story in every person who's learned to move beyond validation. They once tried to please everyone. They once tried to fit in, to be liked, to be accepted. But eventually, they realized that living for applause is like chasing the wind. You can feel it for a moment, but you can't hold it forever. The only approval that truly matters is your own. The only validation that sustains you is when you look at yourself and say, I'm proud of who I'm becoming. When you need constant validation, your peace depends on how others see you. But when you find your worth within, your peace depends on how you see yourself. That's the shift. That's where strength begins. Because validation is temporary, but self-belief is permanent. Think about the great people you admire, the ones who built empires, wrote books, created art, or transformed lives. None of them became great by being liked by everyone. Many of them were doubted, criticized, and misunderstood. But they didn't stop. They didn't wait for people to approve. They believed in their vision when no one else did. They walked through the noise, carrying silence like armor. You must learn to do the same. To be okay with people not noticing you. To be okay with not being clapped for. Because real progress often happens when nobody's watching. The roots of your growth are invisible, but they are real. Don't share everything just to hear, wow. Don't post your every effort just to feel seen. The world doesn't need to witness your process to validate your value. Your worth isn't in the number of likes, views, or compliments. It's in the quiet confidence of knowing you're becoming who you're meant to be. And the irony, when you stop chasing validation, you start attracting respect. Because people are drawn to those who don't beg for attention. They sense the calm in your silence. They feel the power in your groundedness. And they admire it, even if they never say it out loud. So stop performing for applause. Stop giving others the power to decide your worth. Work in silence, believe quietly, move consistently. Because validation might make you feel good for a moment, but self-respect will make you feel whole for a lifetime. People can't destroy what they don't know. Those words carry a truth that many learn the hard way. In a world where everyone is eager to share everything, what they're planning, where they're going, who they're with, what they're doing next, we forget that exposure makes us vulnerable. The more you reveal, the more open you are to interference, judgment, envy, and resistance. But when you keep certain parts of your life private, when you protect your plans and your peace, you make yourself untouchable. There's power in mystery. There's safety in silence. Because not everyone who listens wishes you well. Some people will pretend to be curious, but their curiosity is not innocent. It's tinted with envy. They don't want to understand you. They want to monitor you. They're not inspired by your goals. They're threatened by them. And that's why it's so important to keep your circle small and your mouth smaller. Your dreams deserve privacy, not publicity. Think about it. When a seed is planted, it's buried deep underground. It's hidden, surrounded by darkness, away from the eyes of the world. Why? Because it's delicate, it's forming, it's building roots. If someone were to dig it up just to check its progress, they would kill it. The same goes for your plans. The moment you share them with the wrong people, you expose them to forces that can pull them apart. Negativity, doubt, discouragement, gossip. Sometimes the attack doesn't come in the form of actions. It comes through energy, through words, through disbelief, through jealousy. The world has a strange way of reacting to success. When people can't destroy what you're building, they'll try to disturb your peace. They'll question your motives, misinterpret your silence, and create stories about you. But remember this, people can't destroy what they don't know. When they don't know what drives you, what you're planning, or what direction you're heading, they can't sabotage it. They can only guess. And while they're busy guessing, you're busy growing. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is privacy. Keep your goals between you and your work. Keep your peace between you and your prayers. Let people see the result, not the recipe. Let them see your success, not your strategy. The less they know, the less they can interfere. Because once people know your next step, they can create obstacles. But when you move in silence, your path remains clean, protected, and uninterrupted. This doesn't mean you become secretive out of fear. No, it means you become private out of wisdom. You don't hide because you're insecure. You stay quiet because you're focused. You don't isolate because you're antisocial. You isolate because you understand that peace is built in solitude. The loudest minds are often the least effective ones. The quiet ones, the ones who sit, observe, and act without noise, they're the ones who build empires. When you share your plans too early, you open the door for unnecessary energy to enter. Someone's opinion, even if casually spoken, can plant doubt in your heart. Someone's jealousy, even if hidden behind a smile, can disturb your vibration. And you may not even realize it, but you start hesitating. You start questioning yourself. That's how small cracks form in your determination. That's how people, unknowingly or intentionally, destroy what you're creating. Protect your focus. Protect your vision. Protect your spirit. Learn to keep sacred things sacred. Not everything needs to be explained. Not every moment needs to be shared. There's beauty in privacy, peace in silence, and power in restraint. Because when people can't read your moves, they can't block your path. When they don't know your destination, they can't mislead you. And when they can't predict your success, they can't stop it. So move quietly. Work silently. Let your growth surprise them. Let your results speak for you. You owe no explanations for the life you're building. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth or your direction. The ones who truly love you will trust you even when they don't know everything. The rest, let them wonder. Because the most powerful people aren't the ones who shout their dreams from rooftops. They're the ones who guard their vision until it's strong enough to speak for itself. And when that moment comes, when the world finally sees what you've been working on all along, it won't matter who doubted you, who misunderstood you, or who tried to stop you. Because they never had the power to destroy you. They never even knew what you were up to. Growth, real growth, never announces itself. It happens quietly, humbly, beneath the surface of what the world can see. And that's what makes it so powerful. Because when you're truly growing, you're not trying to prove anything. You're becoming something. You're not showing off. You're showing up for yourself, for your future, for the life you want to live. Look at nature. The most profound lessons are written there. A seed doesn't shout, "I'm growing." It doesn't make noise while pushing through the soil. It simply grows in darkness, under pressure, in silence. No one sees its struggle. No one claps for its patience. Yet one day, that seed becomes a tree, strong, grounded, and capable of giving shade to others. That's how growth works. It's invisible until it isn't. In life, we often crave visible results. We want people to notice our progress. We want them to say, "Wow, you've changed. You're doing great." But the truth is, the most important growth happens long before anyone notices. It happens in your thoughts, in your habits, in your choices. It happens in the way you respond instead of react, in the way you forgive instead of fight, in the way you start keeping your peace more than you chase validation. Those are the quiet victories that shape who you are becoming. You see, the world celebrates outcomes, promotions, success, recognition, but it rarely celebrates the process. No one applauds you for reading that book at midnight, for resisting the urge to quit, for getting back up after disappointment. But that's where your power is built. Those invisible moments of discipline, patience, and consistency, that's where the real growth lives. Growth is uncomfortable because it happens in the shadows. When you're healing, nobody sees your tears. When you're rebuilding, nobody hears your thoughts. When you're learning to let go, no one feels the storm inside you. But that's okay, because you're not doing it for applause. You're doing it to evolve. You're doing it to become the kind of person who doesn't need to explain anymore. When you grow quietly, something inside you changes forever. You stop rushing. You stop comparing. You stop needing to prove your worth through visibility. You start finding peace in the unseen progress, because you realize that everything meaningful takes time. The seed doesn't bloom overnight, the mountain doesn't rise in a day, and neither will your transformation. Sometimes, people will misunderstand your silence during this period. They'll think you've lost your drive. They'll say, "You've changed," not realizing that change was the goal all along. They'll miss the old version of you, because that version was easier to understand. But growth requires you to outgrow not just habits, but sometimes people too. Don't be afraid to disappear for a while. Don't be afraid to step back, to go quiet, to distance yourself from noise. You're not lost. You're transforming. You're not avoiding life. You're preparing for a deeper one. The cocoon isn't comfortable, but it's necessary. The caterpillar must disappear before the butterfly can emerge. And when it does, it doesn't crawl back to explain its process. It simply flies. You'll notice that as you grow, your circle becomes smaller, your conversations become deeper, and your priorities shift. That's not loneliness, that's alignment. You start valuing depth over drama, progress over popularity, and peace over attention. You stop craving people who clap for you and start craving people who pray for you. You stop chasing opportunities that drain you and start building ones that fulfill you. That's growth, and it doesn't need to be loud to be real. So let your growth happen quietly. Let your silence protect your evolution. You don't need to post every step, prove every move, or explain every decision. Some chapters of your life are meant to be written in private, because when the world finally sees what you've been working on, when the results of your silent effort appear, it will look sudden to them, but you'll know it wasn't. You'll know it was years of unseen dedication, invisible progress, and private transformation. Remember this: a flower doesn't compete with the one next to it. It just blooms quietly, gracefully, beautifully, and when it does, the world notices, not because it was loud, but because it was a real. So don't rush to be seen. Don't worry if nobody claps for you yet. Your time is coming. Keep growing in the shadows, because one day your light will be so strong that it won't need an introduction. And in that moment, you'll realize everything that grew in silence was worth it. One of the hardest things you'll ever learn in life is to be comfortable with being misunderstood. Because no matter how pure your intentions are, no matter how kind your heart is, there will always be people who twist your silence into arrogance, your peace into pride, your boundaries into distance. They'll create their own version of you and believe it more than the truth. And that's okay. You have to learn to be okay with that. Because trying to explain yourself to everyone is like chasing the wind, exhausting, endless, and completely pointless. When you start growing, not everyone grows with you. When you start thinking differently, not everyone understands your thought process. Some people will misunderstand your quietness as coldness, when in reality, you're simply protecting your peace. Some will say you've changed, when in truth, you've evolved. And some will take your absence personally, when in fact, it's just you creating space for clarity. But here's what most people don't realize. Being misunderstood is a sign that you're no longer living for the crowd. You've outgrown the need for validation. You're walking your own path, guided by purpose, not popularity. You've stopped explaining, stopped defending, and started focusing. Because when your vision is clear, you don't need to prove it, you just need to live it. There's a quiet strength in not reacting when people misjudge you. It's tempting, isn't it? To defend yourself, to correct every lie, to prove your side of the story. But the truth is, people don't see you as you are. They see you as they are. Their perception of you has more to do with their own insecurities than your reality. So, let them think what they want. You don't have to set yourself on fire to light up someone else's understanding. Silence doesn't mean guilt. Silence doesn't mean indifference. It means you've chosen peace over pointless debate. You've realized that your energy is too valuable to waste on trying to convince people who have already made up their minds. You can't control how others see you, but you can control how you respond. And choosing not to respond is one of the highest forms of self-control. You have to understand, the moment you decide to walk differently, people will question you. The moment you decide to prioritize peace over drama, they'll say you've become distant. When you start valuing time, focus, and growth, they'll say you've become selfish. But what they call selfishness, you'll recognize as self-respect. What they call pride, you'll know as boundaries. What they call change, you'll understand as transformation. Being misunderstood is painful, yes, but it's also freeing. It means you're no longer performing for approval. You've stopped trying to fit into boxes that were never built for you. You're finally living by your values, not their expectations. And that's where real freedom begins. When you stop needing everyone to get you, think about it. Even the greatest souls in history were misunderstood. The thinkers, the dreamers, the reformers, they were all judged, mocked, doubted, and rejected by the very people they were trying to uplift. But they didn't stop to argue. They didn't stop to explain. They just kept walking, kept creating, kept believing. Because they knew the truth doesn't need constant defending. Time will reveal everything. You can waste your entire life trying to make people understand your intentions or you can spend your life building something so powerful that your results explain everything for you. Let your actions clarify what your words can't. Let your peace answer what your mouth doesn't. And let your silence be the lesson they never expected to learn. When someone misunderstands you, breathe. Don't react. Don't rush to fix it. Remember, misunderstanding is not your burden to carry. You are not responsible for other people's interpretations of your life. You are only responsible for your authenticity. And maybe one day they'll realize what you meant. Maybe they'll understand the truth behind your distance. Maybe they'll see that your silence was never about pride, it was about peace. But even if they never do, it's okay. Because you didn't live your life for their understanding, you lived it for your becoming. So, let them think, let them assume, let them talk. While they create stories about who you are, keep writing the truth of who you're becoming. The noise will fade, but your growth will remain. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing peace, for protecting your energy, for walking away from chaos. At some point, you'll realize that not being understood is one of the most powerful freedoms you'll ever have. Because when you no longer need to be understood, you finally understand yourself. And that's when you become unshakable.